you know, getting in towards the end of phase 1. So Navi is a team that I'm looking out for to have a very good game.
We'll have to wait and see if they're going to be kept around the riverside, if they're trying to escape from the northwestern island. It's actually interesting because you mentioned a few of the teams there. The one I wanted to talk about was going to be Blacklist International, and I had that prepared before the show even started, and I did not expect them to start off with a win. So I'm like, people are going to say, Max, man, talking a lot about Blacklist International. Well, this was not prepared in the first place, but they are a team that understand the value of position on this map, and especially they put big emphasis around scouting, which I tend to see some teams not do that often. It is something on Sanhok that makes a really big difference. So hopefully they can try and do something rather similar than what we've seen in scrims and recent tournaments also. Though said Na'Vi, they typically drop Camp Alpha. They're relatively close. I believe that's Geek Fam underneath them. Oh yeah, okay, that's gonna get dirty over there.
Yeah, but have you noticed A1 and Valdez? Both teams have dropped in Paradise Resort. We're going to have a Paradise battle, baby. Let's go. It's going to be very exciting. Very tricky to fight around Paradise because the corners are hard covers and you really have to commit if you're going to peek around a corner, and you're much better off sweeping through the smaller buildings of Paradise Resort as a 2, as a 3-man team. Going in solo is incredibly risky. We've yet to see anything kick off in terms of knocks or kills before we get into phase 1, but interesting to see how the Paradise Resort fight is going to go down.
The cool thing though was A1 and Valdez is that you got A1 that's on the west, Valdez is on the east. If they know as a fact that there's another team, which typically, like, they should, right? They hear the footsteps, they saw them drop with the parachute. If I were them, maybe even Valdez, I would just go to one of the compounds over to the east after getting some very small amount of loot my way. That would be my play, at least I would go for, and especially it is in circles, so it's relatively strong. Though Camp Alpha, I said, I thought there was a few players, I didn't think the entire squad of Geek Fam were actually going to be taking out 5 versus Na'Vi, so they're going to be pushing their way forward. A lot of footsteps going to be made currently, so Na'Vi are definitely going to be alert as to where Geek Fam currently stand, while QB is going to be very wide out over to the west, and that could be the sneaky off angle that creates a sneaky opportunity for the rest of Geek Fam onto Na'Vi.
Now, Kitsune was given information on footsteps, and I think Navi recognized that the western side of the camp was quite easily exposed for Geek Fam to sweep around, so Matic and Meku both instantly headed in that direction. So great awareness from Navi to stop any kind of reposition or backstabbing coming through for Navi. It also opens the door now for Kitsune to do a little bit of looting, and for him to join up with the rest of the team. But even look at this for Matic, right? Going on the outskirts. Thing is, do they know that QB is even further out, ready to take down Matic?
That's why I said that's going to be the sneaky off angle, and now they lose the information game that Matic was trying to set up for Na'Vi. But I don't know what it is with Na'Vi today, but the 2 first games, they are already suffering big casualties. Meku going to be trying to take that fight with the QBC. Unfortunately, not able to get any significant damage to find a knock. One player of Geek Fam going to be put extremely low, but will be able to go for the first aid in time. So Damarud should be good to go. And now Na'Vi slowly but surely going to get surrounded. And I would say now might be the prime time to have QB actually join you to create an advantage. You still get information, but really here you want to take that 4v3. You want to create an even better advantage onto Na'Vi.
Couldn't have said that better myself, Max. Definitely rocket down the hill and look to really put the pressure on the CIS team representing Russia in this PMWI. They're now on the outskirts. They do have the kind of dip of the camp as a bit of cover. QB finds Matic, but Kitsune is going to get a return knock.
Very hard to play from this spot with a third-person perspective. Geek Fam know exactly where Na'Vi could be, but it's also sent for the other side. And actually, that's going to be Tixi confirming that kill onto Sanes.
Wow.
That's going to be Dunzo. He's going to try and close things off, as Na'Vi actually creating a great position for themselves out of nothing. Snipes is going to be confirmed with UMP in the hands of Tixi. That's going to be said and done. Geek Fam now down to 2 players, and they're trying to move away. They instantly regret this one. A little bit too spread, and unfortunately trying to find opportunities. Na'Vi struck at the prime opportunity, and now Geek Fam are completely overwhelmed. As a 2v3, they need to move away.
As much as that was fantastic baiting coming out from Navi, it was really good baiting, and they used that low ground dip to their advantage, right? As I mentioned. But that was incredibly poor teamwork from Geek Fam, right? You gotta respect your opponents in that situation. You've only taken down 1. Unless you've got 2, you don't send 2 players forward. Free opportunities to get back into the fight. And now Navi are going to disengage, knowing that they've only lost 1 player. but they've got 2 kills. That's a net positive in my eyes. Is there a chance that they can still get backstabbed running up the mountain? Yeah, of course, but that's a risk they're willing to take. They don't have guns, so they will go a little bit faster across the way, and you can see that Tixie is at least trying to get a bit of information.
You do see it as a net positive, but one thing that I think is very important to mention for Na'Vi is they're going to have to cross over that river. So having now a 3-man instead of a 4-man, if you are getting gate kept, that's going to be a lot, and I mean a lot harder for them to execute. So just something to keep in the back of our minds. Though, one thing that I love, and I mentioned it, right, when you talked about the fight of potentially happening between Na'Vi and Valdez in Paradise Resort, and I said, because they're so far away from each other inside that compound, or Valdez or A1 could leave, and it seemed like A1 were the one to leave first, and it's not a game of chicken and they were scared first. It's a smart play. You do not want to take early fights on Sanhok. They avoided it, and now they're in a relatively good spot that's in the circle. So I love that. I think that's great respect going the way of A1.
Definitely. Massive respect, and the majority of the early game has been on that Na'Vi and Geek fight, so let's take a bit of a step back and have a look where other teams are. DRS have the eastern side just above Camp Bravo all to themselves. Mung Nai is open. DS Gaming dropped in Cow and Tapmock region. They're on the northern side of the map, looking quite healthy in terms of position. Zeus once again in the center, but they have a bit of a 2-1-1 split just down south of Paradise Resort. It's a great spot to be, but I also worry that there's going to be a lot of teams around them based on this phase 1, and they might get clustered up and really picked off one by one, depending on how responsive they are to any kind of shots heading in their direction. BTR dropped in Painan. That's all good in the hood. They dropped out of there, they move forward, and they're on towards the outside of boot camp area. So far, so good, Max.
So far, so good indeed. But to touch on what you said about the position of Zeus, just like last game, they zone teams away, and that's great. And I think especially they know that they can go for widespread, because this is a location in which, when you are playing Southern Paradise Resort, it's not great terrain to play from. And because of that, a lot of teams try to avoid it. So if you want to try and go for a little bit of a wider spread while remaining undetected, that would be a position I would go for. Just hide in open sight, and you know that teams do not drop there, you do your research, then you should be completely fine. And I think that is some good potential research being made by Zeus. But as you said, the circle is centering up on their position. We'll see where phase 2 goes. If it does go their way, they need to try and be able to fight accordingly and reposition, that's for sure. And talking about repositioning, BTR are doing something very similar, where they're going to try and push their way towards Reject. They are completely unaware of BTR currently pushing in their overall vicinity.
You highlighted Blacklist at the start of the game and how good they are rotating towards these circles. I'm a little bit worried that you've caster cursed them, or Maxman cursed them, should I say.
He's got my name now on it.
This game too. But so far they have a fantastic position on boot camp. It overlooks boot camp hill, should I say. It overlooks boot camp. It gives information towards their BTR. Now, one thing that might worry me about them is that even though they did get a good 9 kills in the last game, maybe not being aggressive early in the game might come to bite them in the butt because of how Sanhok works. But I'm excited to see how Blacklist play this game coming into game 2. Game 3 is I8 rocking it. Not so much together, as Crypto is a little bit more forward on his own, but he has to wait, because without the information and without the support of his team, they could once again get picked off one by one in this game 2.
I love that Abali being spread away from the rest of his team currently is waiting with a Thompson, 50 bullets, kind of the best clutch weapon to have if they are relatively low HP, because the damage per bullet ratio is not as strong as, for example, an M4 and AKM, so it will make it a little bit harder. But yeah, it's all the AMP too. So it is weapon is good if you want to try and keep teams away and just get some suppressing fire, but you got to be cautious that they don't actually close the gap and go for the full-on engage. Then the weapon tends to be a little bit harder to play around in those clutch situations. Though Reject also going a little bit wider, looking for more information. Not going to lie, for a Sanhok game, this is very slow. You could already expect a team or two to be out by now, but that goes to show Imperium how much research has been done. There's no team stepping on each other's toes and just showing a lot of respect to each other, which we love to see, but the more teams survive now, the more hectic it's going to get later on.
It's going to build up. That traffic is going to build up, right? And it's going to get to the point where something's just going to
roller coaster,
and that dam is going to be broken. Yeah, the roller coaster play where we're getting up the top, looking down at the bottom. It's like, oh, here we go. Well, phase 2 is about to pop up, and what direction is this roller coaster of a game going to go? It's going to go to the west, which is low-key helpful for Geek Fam, but I would actually argue not helpful because now other teams are going to be looking in their direction on the Northwest Island, right? They might not be on the Northwest Island, but they're going to be looking in their direction. Will any team commit going over there from the mainland, or will it just create more of a claustrophobic position for multiple teams, as Crypto found Ably prone down and does pick up the first kill for I8 in this PMWI.
And that's what we said, right? The Thompson in a proper 1v1 versus an AKM. The AKM's going to win most of the time, and that's exactly what happened for them. So Abely's going to be gone, losing a little bit more information for them. But talking back on that circle on phase 2, what we saw when it popped, this is actually a very hard shift, not in terms of how the teams are positioned, because a lot of them are currently in there, except for the likes of maybe DRS and even NASA Esports and even Myth that are really delaying their rotation, currently playing in the blue. But there's a world now where we could have a Northwestern Island finish. Of course, the odds of that happening are extremely slim, but if it does happen, we're going to see one of the most hectic games on Sanhok, I think myself and maybe yourself too, have ever witnessed. So I'm hoping that we get an interesting circle, and Na'Vi actually started crossing over, and now they're fully committing back to the Northwestern Island. They're like, you know what? There's a chance. We're going to stick there as long as we possibly can to just remain alive for the longest period of time.
And it's also the kind of circle where you can't really commit to the coastal line of the mainland, right? Because there's just as easy of a chance that you could get absolutely violated by Na'Vi on the Northwest Island. So there's really not that much to play around for these teams inside this phase 2, at least until 1 or 2 squads are wiped out. A bit of return fire by Zeus onto I8 as one player is knocked down. Bosom. Godless is low on health. Icy's doing a wonderful job with that UAP, but he's getting double teamed.
And which one's going to win, IMP or 2 players of I8? Seem like the 2 players of I8 are going to be able to dominate more and more. Crypto onto the front lane with Blade. Trying to
push it.
Even more of a toll, but yeah, you get so much damage onto Zol and also 2 knocks. You want to try and wrap this one up. They're hearing shots from a distance. They're scared of potentially getting third party, so they don't want to be overzealous. They don't want to overstep their welcome. They find the shot. Revers gets it done, and now Zeus out of the lobby in 16th place. Now 15 teams yet remain, but Valdez in the distance could try and capitalize on that chance, so I8's got to be very careful of what their next move is going to be.
That's why I was kind of saying push it, because you've made noise. Much higher chance that there's going to be a third party, and it's come from Reject. I don't know if it's close enough that they can really capitalize in terms of getting a squad run, but maybe picking up a kill from Reject's position is quite viable. The spread they have is gigantic. Blade's going to dip down, crawl away, and he should be able to get revived. But I gotta say, very impressed with I8 in that fight, right? They responded quickly off the back of a knock coming through, and they're back to their kind of ways in which they're expected to play, which is aggressive, forward-thinking, and no fear, just fight.
That's the kind of mentality we're hoping to see coming out from I8, and hopefully this is not the only time we'll see that kind of mentality come on through. Though, things are moving forward a little bit quicker. Geek Fam, they were able to avoid the entirety of Na'Vi. They're still going to remain into Heart In, so that's also a good spot if the Heart Shift continuously goes over to the west. So the odds of that happening are, again, very slim, as we said, but things could get pretty interesting. Teams like BTR, they left, and because of the Heart Shift, committed back into boot camp itself. So teams were definitely trying to double guess and question themselves, is this a good rotation, or should we maybe go back from which we came? Like, okay, the Northwestern Island dream is dead, but you know what? The Paradise Resort dream is now up and ready to go, and A1 think, maybe do we want to go back in? Because Valdez got complete ownership of the resort.
Oh, some of these teams just got baited, but also there's a level of calmness with that shift, I think, for the teams down south, because here's the thing, for Nasser, Myth, not so much Blacklist, but for Nasser and Myth, what they can do is they can shift through on that southeastern side of the circle, which is less likely to be contested because of that phase 2 shift. So you got to recognize the availability of an open position coming into the edge of the circle. A1 are creeping forward. They're fighting up against DS right here, right now.
Happy to see the Cybertruck getting played, actually. Got to be careful, though. The windows from what I've seen by Elon Musk are not all that powerful, okay? They do break pretty easily, so you've got to be careful. They will not withstand bullets. So A1 now going to go for the engage, already 2 players down as they try to get closer to the compound held down by the South Korean team of DS Gaming. Sinister trying his best to build a lot of breathing space for his troop players. One gets actually taken down and breathes to his death, and the nade actually nades Dante? Okay, man, he's going to come for revenge next game. Sinister, that was not very cash money of you.
I'm trying to think of a Star Wars pun with that, but I've never watched a Star Wars film, so I can't make a pun. But that unfortunately leaves A1 down to 2 players. And look, it's low-key A1 doing A1 things, right? They're a team that like to be aggressive, that like to fight, that are very kill-heavy. They don't really tend to survive into the top 3, top 4, as Blacklist International, the winners of the last game, are getting a good few shots onto Myth, who are now down to 2.
That's what we say about this team. They're so controlling when they have a strong position and you know that there's going to be a team coming their way. They will push out. They will be hyper-aggressive to make sure you cannot pause any threat to their spot, and that they're going to keep complete ownership of that compound. Lur's already on an off angle. Alas also, they got such a wide spread. There's literally no escape for Myth. They delayed this rotation so much, and now it's so hard for them to play around. Hosem and also Rio still going to be up and ready to go. But really, is there anywhere else to go? If you want to try and wrap around, this is phase 3, about to go into phase 4 blue zone. The tick damage is ranking up pretty heavily.
It is.
And because they've been in the blue zone for the longest time, do they have enough meds to survive a phase 4, a phase 5 blue zone? Okay, he's got 35 bandages. Maybe. Maybe.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing for Blacklist. I think it was right that they gate-kept Myth, because I think they're at the point in the game, and I know it's only phase 3, but you're at the point in the game where if you're so far away from the circle, or if you know there's a lot of traffic in front of you, you're actually better off gatekeeping and kind of going for kills rather than some kind of position in a circle. I don't know if it's gonna work out for Blacklist, but I get the idea behind it.
Are they actually able to push it over? We said them being down to a 3-man team could make this a lot harder, and it seems like they are indeed struggling versus Xavier. They're just holding on the angle so far around what you call the black hole of Sanhok Imperium, and they got some good little oversights, especially with where Frankie currently is. I would even say it's a super position. All you One Piece fans out there, hope you got that one. Now moving forward, this is a circle that's great for A1. Really happy, Chappy, that about the fact that they did move away from Paradise, but now there's a lot of attention coming their way. Can A1 actually defend that spot now in the future? That's what we're hoping to see soon.
Well, I have a feeling that we're going to lose 3 or 4 teams, even
for sure.
the time
even more.
even by the time anybody actually pushes in onto A1's compound. We have 14 teams, 48 players. BTR looking at Reject. Luxy, he gets the first knock onto Lapis. Good start for BTR.
Sluxy. It's like the mix. Zuxy and Luxy in one is the duo. That's the name. That's what we're going to go for. It's like when you shit people, you mix the name. That's going to be the same for Zuxy and Luxy. It's Luxy. We go. It's meta now. Anyways, pushing on forward, you're also going to have Blacklist International. They're aware. They hear the gunshots. They're like, we don't want to get involved with this whatsoever. We're going to wrap around over to the eastern edge and maybe be the next team to gatekeep BTR or Reject, whatever team actually come out on top of this fight. Lap is going to be taken down, sees the smoke, and actually able to follow that spray. So well done. But at the end, he does get retaliated upon by Duello. Now they're going to go for the engage. Sarah going to be the one on the forefront for Reject, but BTR still got 3 players currently alive, but 2 players are extremely far behind. BTR are not in a position to really defend themselves versus that push of Reject.
Yeah, I get Ryzen staying in that compound, a little bit of an anchor point on the edge of the circle, but why was Liquid so slow to join up as Sarah gets knocked? Great pick for Reject. They're turning it around. Duello, Divine looking to be joining up as well. Liquid is backing out of there, and again, the late decision-making of Liquid to join up has put BTR in a position where they are down to 2 players. Yes, they have the edge of the circle, but just slightly poor timing.
Yeah, very unfortunate run of event for them. They just gave themselves up 1 by 1, and now the high ground is going back in favor of Reject, so BTR is going to be careful how they play that one, but at least they are having the fight come their way, so they're somewhat dictating the pacing of this fight. As Liquid, from the shack, goes for the spray. It's really hard to move away from, and the Blues are about to engulf him. He actually gets the knockdown onto Sarah.
Beautiful.
They're going for the duello shot too. That would be a double. That would be huge if they can actually connect it. And now he's into the blue zone. Did he get the heal in time? I think he will be fine. But yeah, Reject got completely overwhelmed by both Ryzen and Liquid, and now the nades will be coming on through to try and close the gap even further. Divine will be pushing inside. Extremely low HP, 1 bullet, and you're done so, mate. And he's going to be in the exact same building as Ryzen, as he's got the heal. He's up to 75% health, but Divine has yet to go for his own personal heal.
Really great turnaround from BTR, but Reject maybe shouldn't have lost a player in that situation.
Okay.
As I8, unfortunately, are going to go down at the hands of Yala, and a little bit of Valdez coming through as well. 12 teams left as the next circle does shift up on towards the northeast. The circles in the last game were very good, but in this game, they have not been kind to these teams at all, Max.
I mean, DS Gaming from South Korea, they are looking absolutely golden on this game. Let's see if they can try and defend their compound. There is going to be DRS from the Power trying to push up north, so we'll see how that fight goes on later on down the line. Though Divine still looking for the information, maybe trying to get a little bit more intel below this building. But Liquid, he's down below. I see him right there with the M249. And that's an easy weapon for a 1v2. That should be a really easy one, especially when they are so low HP. Just 1 or 2 shots and you are done. Able to get it underneath the building. Liquid, opportunistic as hell. And he goes for the double with the M249. And he starts moving right into the game. Eyes on the prize. And Liquid clears out Reject and stays alive for the team.
Oh my god, that was beautiful from Liquid. So good. The eyes on the prize indeed, but can he deal with the blue zone? As Myth, Navi, lots of time in front of them. As Kitsune is going to help get that one on board. 3 kills for Navi as Kitsune is the last player standing, but he goes down at the hands of Legend.
Yeah, Liquid got picked up by the blue zone, and that's going to be Yala. Man, so opportunistic actually on the southern side. They were clearing so many teams. They got rid of IA, and now that all the teams basically took care of each other on the west and also on the south, Yala just like, well, guess we're the kings of the hill now. Now we're taking the control. Now we're moving our way forward. And the only team that's really a threat to their position, I would say, would be A1 that are the closest. But Yala's going to be careful. There's a few dips, ups and downs, and A1 currently have a little bit of a high ground position. But Sinister cannot even make the most out of that high ground. He gets instantly put down on his knees. Jack's trying his best to extract himself potentially of that fight, but there's no way. IEDA is going to go far and wide to overcome that hurdle of A1 Esports. And I think that we might just be looking at the undoing of the Bangladesh team of A1 Esports, as Jax is just trying to hold on strong as much as possible, but this is a hard escape for them.
Don't go for the revive. You haven't got the time. 13 seconds left on the clock as Loca's going to get knocked down. The second they made noise towards A1, they alerted the attention of both DS and Valdez, the murder, as they have controlled that eastern side like it is their own child outside of Paradise Resort. Really good. Yaller on 8 kills, Valdez are on 4.
DRS very lucky. The fact that the circle is still on their side of the road, they can delay their rotation as much as possible and leave DS Gaming do a lot of the heavy lifting. They're going to clear as many teams as possible or they will go down. And this is DRS somewhat confirming bare minimum a 3rd position purely by remaining on the northern side of the circle. That's all you have to do. Top 3 minimum, just stay there. Though A1 currently still trying their best to survive it. That's going to be 1 player confirmed, and the second also will be fallen down as they get eliminated in 6. And now down to our top 5 on this very first Sanok game of the World Invitational. As GE's trying to move out, 1 bullet, that's all they need, able to make it to the rock, and that's the safe option, but he's not yet in the circle, Imperium.
Yeah, but I worry about DRS because they have Valdez to one side, they have DS down south. Unless Yala punish DS, I can't see DRS making a pass the top 3, but let's see what happens as the circle has centered up. Nobody is inside this phase 7.
That's actually a great play from Valdez. They actually just put himself a 2-2 split. Oh, sorry, 1-1 split. GUI onto the northern side, 6 onto the south. So they got so many options. They can pick whatever position they want to play from as a 1-man and just hopefully have things work out their way indeed. Though, I'm surprised. GS Gaming were not defending the south too heavily, but now they actually pull the players onto the southern side to take that fight versus Yala. That's 1 great nade onto Loka, and now it's only going to be Ida trying his best to go for the heal, but he's in his sight of Sporter as he takes him down, and DS Gaming get himself a total of 7 kills. The South Korean team here are absolutely popping off on the Sanok game, Imperium.
Yes, great control down on the south. Now they can focus on the north. 6 is knocked down. So that does leave, unfortunately, GUI left in his own. The former Power AAA player found his feet inside Valdez. Let's see if he can work wonders. But DRS, they could be distracting DS Gaming at the right time, which could allow GUI to slip in on the underside. But with no cover, he is going to be open season for the pickings.
Hunting season right now. We're hunting down players of DRS. Satan trying to close that gap. I feel then Ninja being knocked down actually makes it a little bit easier for the other team to go for the push. But he's spotted away. AJ gets the knock. Satan's going to be out of this game almost instantaneously. Yes, ZZP still up and ready to go, but he has to push over. And this circle literally ends right on top of the road, but there's a little bit more free real estate Imperium in favor of DRS. And Nima currently has that tree in his favor. Oh my god! Back and forth. Is it going to be connecting? The nade is so close. But it's going to be exploding a little bit further away. Sports is looking safe. But this is an insane 1v1 finish as the molly was right behind him and Nima is still able to hold on strong. Sporter should go far and wide in that 1v1 situation. You've got to go for the spray with UMP. Sporter should not be allowed to win this game. Nemo, you have to go for the spray right here, right now. 1 more bullet is all you need and he gets it done.